Party. My name is George, and I have Victor Oba in the studio, and we've been talking about all that he does. I mean, if you've been watching, you would agree with me that he's a well of knowledge, or an ocean of knowledge. Yes, trust me, I've been really inspired by some of the things that he has said here, and I know that you've been inspired too. Of course, that's what Before 30 is all about. Yeah, so Victor, back to it. Yeah, so I wanted us to talk about, how do I put it now, the Nigerian youth. Yeah, because this show, like I told you, is about inspiring the Nigerian youth. We look out for, what you're doing, and we bring you here to talk about it, just to, let others know what you're doing, and also get someone inspired. Because I've in previous episodes I've had people tell me, wow, I was inspired by that lady. Do you mean that a lady can be a graphics designer?
Yeah, that was that episode.
Yeah, so it's something that I was very happy about. And so now I want to talk about limitation. Do you think that there's especially when it comes to gender, do you think there's any limitation as to what anybody can do? Let's say you're a woman and you want to be a mechanic. Here people don't do that, so don't do that. Or do you think there are limitations as to what anybody can achieve, what you can be, and what you can achieve?
Okay, so if there's one of the things I would say that, like I said, I started taking social media seriously in 2018, and I realized that it's one of the things that really helped me as regards social media was the fact that I came to social media, like I was on social media, right? And it's really an amazing space where you can decide who follows you or who you follow, right? So that helped me. For example, when I'm in conversations and I mention names like Olakunle Soriyan, John Obidi, Feladro Toye, there are young people who don't know these names, right? So one of the things I've come to realize as a young person in these generations, two things here: visibility and value.
Yeah.
First of all, be valuable. Be intentional about the kind of problems you want to solve for the world. State it out, let it be very clear, and train yourself to be able to solve that problem. And then visibility, make a lot of noise about it. I think there was a statement that was made by Jim Rohn. He said that you cannot continue to wink in the dark. I don't know if he's the owner of that statement, but then he said that you can't continue to wink in the dark. There are a lot of young people who are very good at what they do, but nobody's seeing them. Right? And when that goes on for a long time and you're not getting results from what you do, you will draw back. Right? There are some people who, if they show you what they did 2 years ago, you'll be stunned. Because you'd be like, wow, so you were doing this 2 years ago. And there's the fact that there was nobody who was, they didn't put themselves out there, or they just lost the vibe. They lost that ability to do more because they were not getting what they expected, right? So visibility is key. Visibility is key. Intentionally expose yourself to a world of possibilities. It should be intentional. It should be intentional. So I think that that's key, because when you're very intentional about being valuable and you put yourself out there, you have exposed yourself to opportunities. We wouldn't have been having this conversation if you didn't get to find my work, or if my work was not out there for you to find it. Sometimes I meet with people who just come on my page and they be like, oh, Oba, you're doing amazing stuff. And my first response always is, thank you for finding me. And then the response would be, thank you for putting yourself out there. You get? So you must come to realize that there's a need for your value. First off, no matter how, and it's part of the things that's making a lot of people not start. Is there anybody that would want to hear me? And you fail to realize that the fact that you thought about it, there are a lot of people who are also thinking about it. But we are just waiting for the person that will come and say my mind. Right? And when you say the mind of the people like you become the voice of that kind. They find it easy to build a community around what you do. Right? I hosted a boot camp the other day, the podcast boot camp, and it's amazing. I think the first day I gave an assignment and I said, everybody send me an audio record of your story of you running something like a podcast. And everybody was like, no, I don't have a story. What story should I tell? Like, I don't have what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, say anything. Do you believe that when they began to send in their audios, right there in the group, everybody started picking their friends?
Wow.
Like, because I could see myself in this person's story, I could relate with it. That's how the world has become. There's your community, your job is to find it. Right? If you don't find it, start up that community and you see people that are in your community, they will come to you. Right? So I think it's very important for us to target value and being visible. Because, okay, so the thing about social media, I think after the pandemic, there were a lot of people who were not really valuable, but then they were making a lot of noise. And people were paying them even as much as they were not really valuable. So those people who were valuable saw it and leveraged on visibility. Then people now began to follow them because they were not just visible, they were also valuable. Yeah, so that's the way I see it.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And then this part I would have thought about leaving it out, but there's no way I'm leaving it out.
Okay, should I be shocked?
No, simmer down. Yeah, you're a man of God.
I'm a man of God.
Someone will say we all are men of God.
We all are.
Yes, you are a man of God. What role or what? How do I put it? Your purpose in life. You already know that. Did it have anything to do with? God, did God show you this is who you're going to be, this is what I want you to do, this is the way I want you to go, because I mean a lot of young persons these days, think they can do without God, and I believe that there's nobody who can do without God. So what would you say around that aspect? What's your relationship with God first, and then how has this relationship, affected your purpose and all that you do?
Before 30, you just want to grab all my content. You want to grab all my content.
It's a privilege.
Okay, so first off, you said something. You said, that I have found purpose. Right? So I can't ask you because I don't ask any questions. But then at the end of the day, people do stuff. Like we see people out there, and the first thing that we figure out is, this person has it all figured out. Which is not true. There's nobody who has it all figured out. I can only have it all figured out for this process of my life, for this phase of my life. I can understand where in the next 3 years I'm going to. It's vivid in my mind. But if you ask me for the next 10 years, I can't tell. And I think that's one of the divinities of God. Like that's how God stands out. Right? I still feel till tomorrow that one of the bans and the problems of mankind is direction. If I am directed, I won't ask questions if I'm directed. If I just get a clear picture, this is where you're going to, I will not ask questions. So the first thing I'd like to touch as regards purpose is how that a lot of us think profound purpose. Or sometimes God just shows you something and you be like, yes! You don't ask how. Purpose is not just about knowing what to do. It's also knowing how to do it. Because purpose is very detailed. So like I said, I want to write a book, Purpose is a process. And so I will give you the first chapter, or I think the first introduction of what it is. So yes, I've been having series of encounters as a child. I grew up in church. I like to tell people that I grew up in church, but then I found God differently. Activities, check, pastor's child, check, all of those things, check. Bad boy in church, check. Right? You get? But then the thing is, it's part of the beauty of God. God will let you flex. He would let you go through that process so that when you find Him, you'll be able to differentiate between good and evil. Right? So one of the very first time I knew that there was a God was in secondary school, was in church. So I had this habit of always spending my offering money on biscuit and sweet. It was, I won't even lie, it was constant. I can talk about it now because I've grown that level. It was constant. So there was this Sunday, June 12, 2006, there was this Sunday, I was also giving money. So when they started singing Father Abraham had me, so I did not send Father Abraham. I took my money for offering. I went to the Malam that's opposite our church. I bought Miko's, Coaster, and Splash. While I was crossing back, so there's this thing they tell us in school, look here. I did mine 6 times, just to be sure that there was no truck, there was no car, there was nothing coming. I crossed. I could not entirely tell where that bike man came from. and the guy just hit me inside of the gutter. And I was just happy that the gutter didn't have water and also just dry land. But then, I suffered a few bruises. And I stood up from inside the gutter. I saw my Coastal biscuits, my Splash and my Migos squashed on the floor. And for the first time in my life, I heard a voice. He said, your father might not be seeing you, your mother might not be seeing you, but know that I'm your first father and my eyes are always on you. So that was the first time I heard God's voice. God's voice. Amazingly, after that time, I was still a bad boy. So when I mean bad boy, not like I was killing people, I was still a bad boy, right? Very funny. But one of the encounter, I would feel that, the thing about encounters might not be 3, might not be 2, might just be 1. One of the encounters that have really stood strong in my life will be August 2017. So I want to explain finding purpose now. 2017, I won't go into the full details of it, but I'll just tell you the part I want to draw out. So that night I slept, and then of course I can't even tell you that vision was about 30 minutes or 1 hour, I can't tell, but I just knew I slept around 4:30, it was around 4:30 and all. So the angel that was beside me, so it was the angel, myself and my mom, and then the angel pointed to me. So I was shown Mount Zion, yeah? So Mount Zion was really tall, the heat was really tall to me in heavens, and I could only see the clouds and all. So he pointed to me that's your space. Like you are going to the top. That's your space. And I mean for everybody's going to the top.
Yeah.
But what was really particular for me, so after that vision, I started feeling fly. We have found purpose. I really found purpose. I was giving words, I was giving that. And I was really happy that, man, I'm made for the top, right? And Matthew 5:14 was the scripture that was given to me, that you're sitting set upon a hill that cannot be hidden. Everywhere I tell people I go, I saw a vision. I wasn't proud, but I was just happy that God found me worthy to show me something. One day, this is about 3 years after 2017, let's say 2 years, I was just meditating and God told me that, Victor, you don't understand. I showed you a mountain that you are going to the top. But what do you think it takes to get to that top? You have to climb the mountain. It's not just about the top, it's about the climbing. The climbing will take process. So it is in the phase of the climbing you'll be getting series, you'll be getting phases, seasons and times. Right? Maybe for this phase, God wants you to leverage on your acting career. After that, you take the influence from that and direct that channel to something else, and then move. But every journey of your life, there are hallmarks of God's divinity. In every there are hallmarks. God is there. So we have to understand that it's not just about the beauty and the glory of becoming. It's also the process that God goes with you through.
True.
So I realized that it's climbing. The climbing is the purpose. Taking you through that process, building capacity. I tell people that darkness is an advantage to greatness. When it looks as if nobody is seeing you, build capacity. That capacity building is the purpose, right? That top you are going to is reacting to what you have built all the while you were climbing. That's why when you look at the stories of great men, it's more scars than shine. More scars than shine. All of those scars have built, how do they used to call it in the force now? Like it have built awards, badges of honor. They've been through this, they've been through that. So for me now, I've come to realize that purpose is about the process, because it is that process you're being built. One of the most amazing scriptures that I found out would be in Luke 2:40 and 52, that says, "And the child matured in wisdom." That's Christ now. He said he matured in wisdom, which means if he did not mature first at a point in time, he would not even get to a process. True. Right? True. That's why he had to spend more time in the wilderness. That's where the purpose is being given. It is not in the shining. So for us, when we when we say purpose, the first thing is that thing you are going to do. It's not about the doing of the thing. It's about being the person. It's the person you become that defines the purpose, not what you do. So some people fix purpose to their profession. Some people fix purpose to how many child they give birth to. That's why my pastor will also say, after you marry, what next? You give birth, what next? After you give birth, what next? After you buy the car, what next? It's always, but the thing about purpose is purpose gives you satisfaction because you are the right place per time.
Amazing. Purpose gives you satisfaction because
it's now too we're also finding this out. It's not like you already know, and that's the beauty of purpose. It's like you would mature. You would mature in it. Once you make it your anchor, once you tell yourself that you want to take out this time to find purpose, that's when you begin to see the reflections of what God wants to do. Like you begin to see it, you will see from like a mirror. Not like a mirror, like you would see it will now become plain to you. You will now be understanding, so God sent me to this primary school because of this. Sometimes God will intentionally introduce you to some people because of what He wants to do in the future, not necessarily because of now. There are some friendships that it was of no use 2 years ago. You were just joking with yourself. But now, the dividends of that friendship is beginning to pay off. Maybe at the time you met with that person, you were not matured enough to work with you.
True.
Or probably you yourself were not even matured enough to be able to relate with them or understand what their purpose were. But now you two have grown over time and you can easily relate with them. So I think that purpose is more about the process than the end result. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Alright guys, we'll take a quick break now. Please stay tuned.
This is Before 30.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful talking to you. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. But then before you go, just last words or encouragements to the young people who are watching this.
Yeah, so it is important to understand that this is a show called Before 30. There's this quote and unquote, there's a pressure in the air. Right? There are milestones that society have stated for you to achieve. Right? And at the end of the day, you find out that sometimes when you're able to get to these milestones, you realize that and like what's there. And then also sometimes when you don't get to these milestones, you hate yourself for not getting to these milestones. So at the end of the day, before 30, draft what your life is going to look like. What is going to look like. I'm very intentional. I said your life. Provided that at the end of the day, you're being serious about your life. If you're serious about your life, you want to do things for yourself. So don't ever come to a point in your life, whether you are before 30 or after 30, where you are in the pressure of what people want to define or what people are defining life to be like for you. Right? I mean, we're young. It's the first thing first you have to understand. You're young. So part of the idea of being young is that does not mean that you now sit down and say, when I get to 30, I'll now start life. No, you're young. Make use of your energy now. But beyond that, have your own timetable. A timetable that you and God have constructed for yourself. Society can be tricky. Society will tell you beans is the in thing. You come to the market the next week, they tell you rice is the in thing. So imagine you set your life on the beans they told you about. So I think that the biggest pressure is society. The biggest pressure is that pressure of, my friends are getting married. The biggest pressure is that pressure of, I should have 50 million naira in my account. All of these are good things. But life is a process. When you jump that process, you come back to it. You know the jump class. You can't jump class.
You can't jump.
Right? That's why I said that the purpose is the process. Right? So when you chase that fantasy, you come back to reality.
Wisdom. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming here. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you. And we hope to see more of you, to hear more of what you're doing, and more lives getting impacted.
Thank God.
Yes.
We pray that when we are 30 like this, you come and meet me at Aso Rock.
Have you private?
I was just private jet before, but you are a pastor. You come and interview. How has it being a president of Nigeria? I'll be sipping tea by that time.
You tell the one that we were there when it started.
And that's the beauty of the process. So, throwbacks are signs that we're coming from somewhere.
Yes, alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I mean, it's been an amazing time with Victor Oba on this episode of Before 30. Please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. Subscribe, like, and put up your comments, and of course share it with your friends and family. Let everybody know that there's a show on YouTube called Before 30, and it's to inspire youth and get them to work, really. Yeah, that's what we do. Thank you so much. They will come again with another interesting episode. This is Before 30, and my name is George. Bye for now.